So today, Apple had their California streaming event, where they announced a bunch of brand new products, ranging from iPhones, iPads, and the Apple Watch, all of which that will be available for purchase within the next coming weeks. So it's been 7 hours since that California streaming event has ended, and well, let's talk about these new products and, well, my own opinions on them. Let's get started. There's a new base model iPad, the $330 model that Apple has been selling for the last few years. Overall, this iPad hasn't changed much. It's the same overall design and same display. The main difference is now it sports an A13 Bionic chip, and it still retails for $330. Apple also announced an Apple Watch Series 7 that will be available for purchase later this fall. The Apple Watch Series 7 overall improves on the Apple Watch Series 6 by increasing the screen size and reducing the bezels. There's also a new color for the aluminum models, now has a full-size keyboard you can type on, and charges faster than previous Apple Watches with a USB-C charging cable. So it sounds like at least they're planning to at least release a new magnetic charging cable that utilizes USB Type-C. The type of materials available for these Apple Watches are very similar to last year's, which are titanium, stainless steel, and aluminum. Overall, I think these upgrades are par for the course and pretty much your standard Apple Watch update. All right, iPhones. So there are 4 iPhones that Apple is releasing, very similar to last year. The iPhone 13 mini, iPhone 13, iPhone 13 Pro, and iPhone 13 Pro Max. Dimension-wise, they're very similar to the iPhone 12 series lineup. So if you ever held those at your local Best Buy or whatever, it should feel, at least in your hand, very similar size-wise. Let's first talk about the features that all 4 of these models share that are upgrades over last year's. The ultra-wide camera can now do macro shots. The new cinematic mode for video helps the user emulate rack focus shots that you normally find in movies. This can be done with the true depth camera on the front-facing camera, as well as the back cameras. 128 gigabytes of storage space is now standard across the entire iPhone 13 lineup, and all of them should have improved battery life. The entire iPhone 13 lineup also got an update to the new A15 Bionic chip. Let's talk about what's in the iPhone 13 Pros versus the iPhone 13 Nos. That was a bad joke. The iPhone 13 Pros replaced the Pacific Blue color from last year with a new slightly lighter blue color named Sierra Blue. As same with last year, there's still 3 lenses versus the 2 that you can find on the regular iPhone 13s, which are the ultra wide, the regular, and the telephoto. And the Pro lineup also now has a 1 terabyte storage option, which you will definitely be paying a lot for. So those are usually the differences between the standard models and the Pro models of the iPhone lineup, right? But for this year, they added 2 very interesting features. The first one is the ability to shoot ProRes 4K 30 frames per second video from an iPhone 13 Pro. And the second one is the new variable refresh rate 120 Hz displays. Let's first talk about ProRes. ProRes is a codec that is very easy to play with in editing software, but it's also massive in file size. That being said, because they get so big, right, Apple does not allow the recording of 4K ProRes footage out of the base model iPhone 13 Pro. That means if you buy the base model 128 gigabyte version, you wouldn't be able to utilize this feature to its greatest potential. If you were recording in ProRes at 30 frames per second, you would probably get around 30 minutes to an hour of footage max before your phone just fills up on storage space. So is the 128 gigabyte model ideal for ProRes in the first place? No, but I do think that they should have allowed external storage devices to be plugged into the iPhone, and you should be able to record 4K ProRes off of that if someone wanted to. That would really make the phone pro. Why limit this phone from this feature when it's capable of doing it, albeit through an external device? But really, that's a little rambly rant from my end. But I thought that was a tiny tidbit of information you should know. And it's kind of difficult to find unless you scroll all the way down through their product page. The 120 Hz displays, I think that was the defining feature of the iPhone 13 Pro, if that makes sense. It was the one that stood out the most because this is the first time they have switched to 120 Hz display since their original iPad Pro lineup. And I love having a 120 Hz refresh rate display on those. I don't think it was a deal breaker. That doesn't make me automatically want to switch from a 12 Pro or an 11 Pro. It's just a nice to have feature. It does, however, make your phone feel a lot smoother while you're using it compared to a standard 60 Hz display. First impressions, I think it stands to be a standard iPhone upgrade year. Not too many crazy features out there, just enough that if you have a 3 or 4 year old phone, you may consider upgrading. I will, however, be purchasing an iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro for review purposes. So if you're curious about that, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be working on that pretty soon. That being said, if there's something about these models you want to see in a review, comment down below. So the final device that Apple announced at this event, well, it really wasn't the final device they announced, but the one that caught my interest the most, the refreshed iPad mini. I think the iPad mini gets the short end of the stick a lot. It doesn't get refreshed as often as Apple's other iPads, but this one was really interesting. The new iPad minis have been completely refreshed, right? It comes with a whole new design that matches up with the iPad Air and the iPad Pros, thinner bezels with bigger displays, and it's still small enough to fit inside big pockets on your trunk. The new A15 Bionic chip that can also be found in the iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro models. It has an ultra-wide front-facing camera to utilize center stage that feature on the iPad Pros that track you around as you're moving during video calls. Comes in some fun colors like purple and pink now. The fingerprint sensor has been moved to the lock button up top. It now also has support for the Apple Pencil 2. And my favorite part about this, it has dual speakers, one on the top and one on the bottom. All this for a base price of $500 for the 64GB model. Honestly, I really like the new iPad mini. I think the price is also just right. It sits between the iPad Air, which is at $600, and the base model iPad, which is at $330. It takes pretty much all the features that I like in the iPad Air, the iPad that I deemed the best iPad for most people, and shrunk it down into a 8.3-inch tablet. They also switched the iPad mini over to USB Type-C, so now it's good for any kind of USB Type-C peripherals, like plugging in external storage or plugging in your camera directly to the iPad to pull some files off of it. But the fun fact about the iPad mini right now is it's actually more powerful than the current model iPad Air, at least until October or November when Apple releases a new iPad Air. But currently, the smaller brother is better, or at least has more performance than the older brother, which is, I think, is pretty interesting. You tell me, would you personally buy yourself an iPad mini or your kid an iPad mini? I think with a tablet this small, it's very versatile on all the places you can take it. It makes a great traveling companion, maybe a good ebook companion. I don't know. I just think it's cool. I got it pre-ordered. There will be a review on that too. So concluding thoughts from this event, right? It seems like the majority of product updates this event, like the base model iPad, the iPhone 13, the iPhone 13 Pro, and the Apple Watch Series 7 are just your standard yearly update. But the A13 chip in the base model iPad, the reduced bezels on the Apple Watch Series 7, and the 120Hz displays on the iPhone 13 Pros, those are all welcome additions. I think the standout product, at least for this event, is the new iPad mini, because it got completely redesigned. And finally, a decent consideration compared to the slightly pricier iPad Air. Anyway, to conclude this video, I want to hear your thoughts on these products. Are the changes to their product lineups significant? Or do you think it's the same old, same old? Do all these new photo features entice you to get an iPhone 13 or iPhone 13 Pro? Does the new iPad mini refresh interest you? I know, like, I'm gushing about it for some reason. I just think small tablets are cool, or am I the only one who feels that way? Let me know your opinions in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and well, don't forget to subscribe. I'll most likely be reviewing a lot of these products. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Bye.